Waking up this morning has got everyone excited because the news we've been waiting for the last couple of months has finally arrived. The migration event, how this all is coming together and how you can technically move from your current empire to another. So smash like, comment, and subscribe, and I'm going to explain that in today's video. So the first thing is, the migration is going to be a migration-based event, and it is going to split up into a migration preview stage. You can see a migration application, and then there's going to be stage 3, which is free migration, which we're going to explain in a moment. But before we go into that, there's going to be some very important information we have to explain for you guys, because the migration quota area explains the direction of Age of Empires Mobile is going. Because as you can see in point 1 and 2, basically the empires now are going to be classified either leaning on their strength. If you're in the top 20% of power kingdoms in the game, you're going to be considered a leading empire. So basically, if you're in the top 20%, you're the big dicks. You're the competitive kingdoms that this game expects to be, right? Everyone else out of that is classified as a regular empire, and this is going to honestly change the quota on the amount of migration slots you're going to have in this event. And it's very important we go over this first, because without this information, anyone who's running an empire, on anyone who's even thinking about migrating to an empire, need to understand that you might not get there in the first migration roll round, right? It's a very important thing to stress right now. Leading empires are going to have 30 total migration slots, while regular empires approximately are going to have 50 total migration slots, while both of the different kingdoms also have each a special migration slot for approving any governors they want outside the quota. The thing is, though, there is only a limited amount of these, and they do replenish once every month. So if you're in a regular empire, you can have 3 extra people that is out of the quota and does not be added to that number. Then if you're a leading one, you can only have the 1. So every time this is coming around, maybe you're allowed 1, 1, 1, 1, right? The way the whole empires are being determined by power to finish off this section is going to be, as you can see, the historic power of the top 200 players of that empire, right? So when you're in there, the top 200, it currently is going to determine who's the big dicks and who are not the big dicks. Some people expected this to be a little bit larger, like the top 300, because if it was the top 300, that means that's 2 alliances of 150 players, while this is currently only kind of accepting the top alliance plus 50 players that might be scattered around anywhere else in that area, right? So that's kind of fair enough how that works, right? So now with this kind of gone through, let's go into the stage areas and now explain the stages before we can go through requirements that you're going to need to know to migrate through. Because when it comes to the migration event now, it is split up into 3 different stages. You got the migration preview stage, the application stage, and then the free migration stage. The one thing that you need to understand, though, during this whole process, as you guys can see here, is the administrator of that empire is going to be the one leading the permissions of it. So someone in the kingdom, no matter what, is going to be able to accept or deny these applications, meaning this could be in your kingdom. You have to obviously set a role and give this guy a role. Is it going to be the king? Who knows, right? Because you can see the king of the server will act as the empire administrator. If there's no king, the leader of the top alliance takes over. So this is what I'm talking about. If you are maybe running an empire, some people do swap kings, right? They swap shifts and move these king roles around so that they can obviously give these administrative roles out. This is going to be the same kind of thing. You are going to be wanting to give technically the true king, or whoever you believe is going to be in charge of recruitment of your empire, the king role, only through this empire migration stage. And if they fuck you over, well, you guys know what's going to happen. You're going to have 150 plus maybe alliance versus 30 guys in a crazy kind of war. I'm just going to be real. That's what's going to happen, right? And they're going to try and get kicked out of the server or zeroed, right? So the administrator is going to be in charge of your destiny. Let's just say that. When we come into here, though, let's go through the stages, because stage 1 is the migration preview. This is where my administrator, so the king or whoever is in the top #1 alliance, if there's no king available, they're going to be able to set the power options. So this is where it's going to be really important. So several power options above 20 million will be provided for the Empire administrator to choose from. The migration chat channel opens, and governors interested in migrating can contact the administrators of their favorite empires in advance to try and expedite the approval. So this is kind of cool, because this is trying to get people to be able to socialize, obviously communicate, give them reasonings, right, and evidence to, like, you should accept me into your, your empire. I'm a pretty cool dude, right? Some people do this through Discord, and as you guys will know, Empire 64 currently on Discord does have a migration application thing. If you want to check it out, go over there. There will be a link in the description down below, as you guys have been seeing it on screen right now. But this is kind of good, right? You can kind of set this power limit, and it's a very important power limit, because when we go into stage 2, you can understand how these applications will work. During this stage, governors can submit migration application to their favorite empires. Applications from governors whose power is below their favorite empire's limit are considered regular migration applications. Whose above limit are classified as special migration applications. So what this means is, what you're going to be wanting to do is, depending on the power limit that is set on game, because we technically don't know, because this image here is so terribly badly done, you can't really check in. If you zoom right in and pull it up, you'll see there's like an 18, there's a 30 million one here as well, but we don't know if it goes any higher, right? So basically anyone below 30 million is going to be classed as a regular migration ticket, right? You can just migrate in, and it will deduct one of the numbers from the quota that you have on your empire. If you're above 30 million, so if you're a stronger player, like say you're Blaine, right? And Blaine wants to migrate somewhere, Blaine is going to be classed as, from what it looks like, no matter what, and a lot of other players similar to him are going to be classed as special migration slots, meaning they're only going to be taking up potentially that 1, 2, or 3 slots that you have, right? Which is very, very important, right? When it comes to movement of power, as well as the distribution of migration slots on who can come in and who can't come in, right? So this migration application thing is quite interesting, right? Because obviously once your migration quota reaches 0, no more applications can be approved. It's as simple as that. Once you've hit your limit of 30 or 50, whatever your empire technically is, you're done. That is it until the next migration comes around. And this is going to be really important on how you can obtain some passes, which I'm going to explain in the last section of this. But you can see the free migration during the stages, governors below their favored empire's migration power limit can freely migrate there. Any leftover regular migration slots will turn into free migration slots during this time. So that's kind of interesting, right? If you are below 30 million power, for example, and you want to migrate into our empire, and we still have like 2 or 3 slots available because we didn't want anyone else, well, it's going to allow you to migrate in. This is really important though, because you can see here there is a cost. And this is one leaked image. I don't think they realized that's going to worry people, because we don't know what this 80 means. Is this going to be 80 for someone who is around 60 million power? Who knows, right? The best way of finding that information out is probably checking maybe if this is a real account or not, right? But this is where things are going to get a bit shaky, because when we come out of here now, we're going to explain how you can get these migration passes. Because if you go back to the first image, as you guys saw earlier on, when we were discussing all of these beautiful migration slots, above is the migration passes. And as you can see, you're going to be earning these migration passes either through packs. So you're going to be purchasing them, as you guys will imagine. This is what everyone was thinking. Let's be real. There's no shock or horror here. But what it also says is a number of migration passes will be given to you free each time the migration event is launched. So what that technically means is if you're in an empire and you want to be free to play and you're maybe 20-30 million power, who knows, right? And you want to migrate, at least maybe after the third, maybe fourth migration cycle, depending on how often these come. This could be a monthly event, right? But when these come, you are going to be earning those free passes. So eventually, no matter what, you will be able to migrate for free. It's just about making sure you don't keep pushing and pushing silly amounts of power and getting to a point where you're never going to be able to get the passes for that, right? So when we move down from this screenshot, we can see now the requirements of what it needs to be migrated, and there's some extra notes that hopefully answer any of your extra questions that you guys may have in the comment section down below, right? And then otherwise, I'll try and answer them myself the best I can. But these are the requirements. You need to sit down with level 18. You cannot have any, not be in war, or obviously have troops outside, which makes sense. You can't have any hospital going. You're not a member of an alliance. You are not serving as an administrator in the current empire, which makes perfect sense too. So basically, you can't be doing anything. There is a little 33 double text here. I'm just saying, Age of Empires, guys, this is a little bit sloppy. We're expecting perfection here for the money that we are paying to play this game. I'm just saying, right? Point 6, migration application stage. So your application has been approved by the favored empire's administrator, and then when it comes to the free migration stage, your power is below your favored empire's migration limit. So when we go into it again, if you try and zoom into here, it doesn't really give you some great details on it, but when you look at the requirements, it will tell you in game whatever ones you might be missing out on, so you might just have to wait. So something as simple as maybe you've done everything correct and the last tick is basically myself or someone who's basically in charge of migration and going, you know what, yeah, we're approving him, papers please, bang, hits the stamp, and then you're allowed to migrate in. So this is going to be really interesting. Let me know your thoughts on it so far, because I think it's interesting that they've allowed free movement, but at the same time, I dislike almost the amount, if you want to say it, the amount of limited slots that there is. Because let's be real, a lot of people want to move, and 30 slots isn't enough, right? A lot of people would have expected maybe like 75 slots, because that's like half of an alliance, right? And if they take in half an alliance now, next migration, they can take in another half of alliance members. So they've just generated a second alliance. And then over time, they can do that again, make a third, make a fourth, right? And it's just one of those that makes a little bit more sense to me on paper. But I know a lot of people wanted the merging option, right? But I'm kind of glad we didn't. I'm gonna be real. Moving into these notes, and then the last little bit of information that you guys are going to need, the dates and how these are going to be bracketed up. You can see the resources and progresses and stuff from your purchases will be retained. So any of your VIP progress, top up progress, all that's going to be saved. Your first top up pack and Empire Glory Packs, though, purchase status will be reset after migration, which is kind of nuts. I'm going to be honest. If you're a spender, this could be kind of crazy, because I can imagine the real whales out there, like the real ones out there. Like I could imagine even like Blaine doing this if he's smart enough. Like he would buy the first top-up pack and all the Empire Glory Packs, have them all done, migrate, and then they reset, so you can buy them all again in the same day. Because if they're running reset, that's perfect, right? So it'd be interesting to see how this is going to work for them. I'm just going to be real. Your Citadel's unprotected resources will only be retained up to your warehouse limit. This is kind of what everyone would expect to, meaning you can't hoard billions and billions and billions of resources like a lot of you guys seem to do, right? It's not going to matter. When you migrate, whatever your warehouse limit is, so if it's a couple of million, right? Guess what? That's all that's going with you. Everything else is disappearing. So you might want to start giving away all that resource somehow. I don't even know. I don't know. You can't even do that because that's how brutal it is, right, in this game. Your Citadel queue, though, this is what's really cool, though. Other personal development resources will be preserved, right? Such as your heroes, protected resources, so on. Your current Citadel queue progress will be maintained. So if you're building queues, forging queues, if you're researching, you don't have to be zeroed out, which is very good. I'm so happy about that. I don't know if it's about troops too. We will find that in the future. It does say etc. So I'm going to assume you can train, build, forge, and do all of your tech and obviously all of that jazz without having to be zeroed, right? You don't have to have anything stopped, right? And then migrate. That's going to continue through, which is a really good thing. Some games make it so you can't be trading, you can't be building, you can't be researching, you can't be doing anything. You have to be basically literally idle, like you're fucking AFK, and then migrate, right? So I'm kind of like that. Your gameplay progress will be preserved, which is nice on island tactics and players bounties. And then it'll say if you're in the Mightiest Governor, Mightiest Empire, Stellar Glory, and those type of Empire versus Empire, those events, you're not going to be in them technically anymore, right? Your progress, as you can see, is going to be reset, right? Please make sure you claim the rewards before you leave. So if you haven't, you're going to be kind of upset. So that is on you. And then on top of that, if you're in the Wonder Contest Battle of Dawn events, if you're registered and you migrate somewhere else, you are not going to be able to migrate again. Like, well, you're not going to be able to apply into a team, right? So just be aware of that, right, when you migrate. So that's pretty much all of the notes here for a lot of the information that they give you. I know it's been a long video, but the last thing to give you guys is the schedule, because they have divided it into 2 migration zones based on the server ecosystem factors, such as the release schedules and the server power. So migration group 1 is basically realm 1, kingdom 2, kingdom 6 to 8, kingdom 10. That's what they've said here in this one, right? Migration group 2, kingdom 1, kingdoms 3 to 5, and kingdoms 9. So you can see they're only hitting the early ones at the moment here, right? This is on June 3rd till June 9th, and then the goes to June 10th, June 11th for the application area, and then after June 12th, 13th, that's when anyone else can freely migrate there in those groups, right? As we look here, it says migration events are expected to begin in the Empire servers at the times listed below. Please stay tuned for future announcement regarding specific migration zones. So June 10th, June 16th for basically, it seems like us, anyone in global. So I'm gonna say if you're in like Empires 12, right? Empire 11, Empire 50, Empire 64, Empire 100, all of that jazz, any of those empires are going to start being able to migrate June 10th till June 16th, but they will give us the migration bracket. Don't just take my word for it. Wait for the migration brackets, because it seems like they are bracketing up people to make sure this migration is a little bit more balanced, it seems, on power shifting. Let's just be real, right? Migration application June 17th, June 18th, and then free migration June 19th to June 20th, right? So you can see beginning of June, everyone in the beta kind of is looking kind of cushy. And then everyone else is looking at June 10 for this, right? So everyone else, please discuss your migration arrangements with gunners and administrators of your desired target location, right? So I could try and ask them here about, obviously, what about Empire 64? When would we get ours? But I'm expecting them to say, please just await, this information is going to be coming very shortly. So just honestly keep an eye out for the next couple of days, or maybe next week or so, coming up into June, when we're going to get this information on the migration groups for everyone else, like everyone else who's going to be able to migrate, right? So that's it. It's a lot of information to take in. I do apologize. I know it's been a long video, right? Coming up to the 20-minute mark, but I have explained the best I can that this is a migration based event. You're gonna be needing migration passes. You will get some free passes every time this event comes around, but you will need to spend money in order to get more passes to migrate on that. Migration passes, the ones you're gonna need is gonna be based on power, What are the requirements? We don't know yet. I'm going to try and find that out for you guys so you know how many migration passes you're going to need for each of your power levels for you guys. And then to finish things off, just remember, there is a brand new, technically, system coming into place. We are now having leading empires and regular empires, right? The top 20% in power is going to consider a leading empire with 30 migration quota slots, with that one extra special slot that you can have that doesn't count towards that number. And then regular is going to have 50 migration slots with a additional 3 specific ones, right? So that's everything. If you guys want to check out any specific parts of this video, just go back through. You can pause it, just read it through if you want to get a better understanding yourself. But when this comes into the game, hopefully maybe even in a test server, like a Pioneer test server, we can have a good look and see how much passes are going to be, right? How much passes are you going to need to migrate for certain power? All of that jazz. But for now, that's gonna be today's video. Smash that, comment, subscribe, and if you want to support me, guys, you know, down in the description down below is the Eneba link. And if you want to buy any Apex coins, any Empire coins, use my creator link, support me out. And on top of that, there is a 20% cashback deal running right now, so why not do that, right? So until the next video, stay safe, stay sneaky, peace out.